What's up, everybody? We got a new video for you today at the Wallace Farm and Sawmill. See that big orange machine behind me? Well, get used to it. We're about to be doing some sawmilling today. Let's talk about some different forms and ways we use our sawmill to make money. All right, everybody, today we are going to be sawing some customers' logs into lumber. We got to cut some oak logs into 2x6s. And the thing about today's video, I guess that makes it kind of somewhat different, is these oak logs, I was informed by the owner of the oak logs, are actually limbs. So the thing is, and they're big.
They're big.
They're big, but technically the tree trunk came up and then these are the limbs that came off the side. I have heard in my experience in the past that limbs didn't make the best lumber because they can have tendencies to deviate, warp, have a lot of movement in them. I cannot say that I know for sure that I've sawed limbs before, because typically, you know, we're sawing the actual trunk of the tree. Limbs usually don't get big enough unless it's one of those really old trees. So I think what I consider a treat, I got a treat for you guys. We're going to be sawing something that is different and possibly something I haven't sawn before, as far as it being a limb versus the actual tree trunk itself. We're going to move over here and we're going to grab them. They're probably, I don't know, they look from here like at least 16 to 18 inches. So they're very nice size logs, but they're limbs. Do we call them logs or do we call them limbs? What are you going with?
I guess we're going with limb. That's what it is.
It's a limb.
It looks like a log.
It's a limb that's a log.
It's a limb log.
Limb log. Let's go. Let's give you guys a once over of our log that's in question here. Log, limb, whatever you want to refer. So from my knowledge right here, we got a cherry bark red oak, and probably in its widest point there, somewhere near in the 20-inch mark. That's my guess. She's got a tape. She's fact checking me right now, guys. What you got?
21.
21? I must have seen a couple logs to be able to call that a 20. What do you think, Britt?
Yeah, I think you had that spot on.
Listen, a 20-inch limb log, that's a big limb.
That's a big limb.
Yeah, but I think it was an extremely old tree. The trunk was probably huge. I'll check with a customer later, because if this is the limb, then it must have been a...
It must have been a big old tree.
Big old tree. So let's get this thing slapped up on the sawmill, guys. Now, our goal here is to make true 2x6s. So true 2 inches by true 6 inches wide. And he's going to keep this for some framing material around the farm. Nothing in mind for it yet, but eventually, after it's dried, he said he may use it for some outbuildings or something. we got them split up here. As you can see, when you're doing some plane sawing, splitting the pith not always the best, but some logs it works out pretty well. We didn't have any bowing or bending or anything on here. But as you saw through anything plain, when you get to a certain section, for example, right here, technically this is kind of quarter sawn because all of your rays are standing straight up. We're going to pull this board and then like say this board, which is just plain sawn, kind of show you the difference between the two in their looks. Now guys, you can orient a log very specifically to quarter saw if that's what you're seeking to do, but wasn't the goal here. We're just looking for some straight sawn lumber to use for some, I guess, eventually rafter type material. But I'll show you the difference between those two boards. You'll be surprised. Take this thing over to jet. You can see some grain differences here. Okay, check it out. So this one here would be your quarter sawn because, well, yeah, let me get over here. It's really more quarter in this area, specifically where the rays are all running straight up and down. Check this out. See how your rays are all running straight here? And then here you got your rays running more flat, straight across the board versus straight up and down. It gives you a difference in pattern right here. You can see this ray flecking inside of here. As compared to over here, you have more of an open grain look. See how wide, where it's real tight here? It's kind of a cool side by side right there. And then as it gets back down here, the log kind of had a twist in the heart and she went back flat again. You can see the opening of the rays down there. But right through this section. So from my knowledge, this board here in this section would be much stronger than this board here. All we have left from our first log now is 4 boards to edge out. We're gonna run them on the mill right now, and then we have 1 limb log left. I like saying that.
Limb log. I like
limb
it.
log limb. We wound up with quite the stack of lumber. Let me take this camera and show you guys what we got. We wound up with quite the stack there. Some pretty 2x material, all to be stacked and stickered and dried out for future barn usage. Guys, we're winding down on this one. We wanted to show you guys today something a little bit different. And we were talking earlier, we haven't got to saw a oak log in like a month or two.
Yeah.
It's all been pine, poplar, or cedar. So this was a treat for us. We got to saw some nice cherry bark red oak, got some very nice material out of there. I'm extremely happy with it. And it's also to show you guys a simple way to make money with your sawmill, because guys, that was just dropped off 2 days ago, turned it into lumber, money out the door, quick and easy. That's how you do it right here at the Wallace Farm and Sawmill. If you guys want to see anything else from us in the near future, check out the links in the description below. You have no idea how much we appreciate you guys, and the positive comments go a long way. We were talking earlier, it's like 60-to-1 positivity out here. We appreciate you guys. Keep us encouraged to do this stuff every day. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
See ya.
bam.